I lived in Mel Gibson's coach house.
Oh yeah, you were in Pepperdine.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah, he's tucked right
You,
in
you,
there.
you have no idea that people live back there. You're like,
No,
what?
and they're like,
Welcome to episode 7 of the Jason Theory. I'm super excited today to have Blake. Blake, Blake's Canadian, so don't hold it against him. What is the proper way to say your last name?
it's Roubos.
Roubos.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think it's Dutch, but I don't know.
Oh, you don't know your heritage?
I think Dutch or Austrian.
Oh,
Some sort of European
cream
country. Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
All right.
Just
All
ignore
right.
that.
So I have a bunch of things that I want to talk about. First and foremost, you went to, there you go. Charlie Murphy doing some back end stuff for us. So you went to military school, correct?
I did.
You went to Culver Academy.
Yes. My brother's actually there, who is the other founder of DroneHub, right now for his 10-year high school anniversary.
Oh my! How did you end up at Culver?
So I was a pretty bad kid. My parents decided to send me to a military boarding school.
Where were your parents? Where were you living at that time?
I'm just kidding. I wasn't a bad kid.
Oh,
but-
okay.
No,
Because that'd be St. John's. That's the bad military school. I went to
Yeah.
military school too, so there's the point I'm getting at.
Oh, okay. I
All
get
right.
it. I played ice hockey, actually,
Oh yeah, in Culver is a
because
really
it's the
good
most
time.
Canadian
Yeah.
thing ever.
Yeah.
And then basically, they did like a summer team every year where they would recruit kids to go play in a tournament. So I played on a summer team with some of my best friends from Culver now.
Okay.
And we all went there together, basically.
Okay, you went to military school.
Yeah.
How come you were always late then? Because I went to military school, and if you were ever late, literally, it was nose and toes against the wall, or they would just beat the shit out of you.
Well, I wasn't the best cadet, if that helps. But sometimes the athletes were able to get away with.
Oh, you
certain
got
things.
okay. There it is. Okay, preferential treatment. I'm wondering why.
I'm not always late.
Well, I mean, there's a scale.
I was late for this podcast.
Within 15 minutes is on time.
Okay.
Are you late for Frederick? No, you're not.
No, he's usually late.
He's
like,
late. I could see him being late.
only because like his schedules. If you like looked at his calendar on his phone,
I don't know, I'd probably
you'd
shoot
probably
myself.
get anxiety.
Yeah.
Like it's basically like down to the minute. He has a driver that's like 24/7, like locked in.
Oh, wait, hold on. We're getting ahead of ourselves.
Okay.
Because I do like what you're going with this. All right. I want to focus because Blake doesn't like to talk about himself, but like people that listen to this podcast, or people that I believe will start to listen to it are going to love the fact that you are an entrepreneur, you're self-made, and you're probably we all of us are in industries that we never thought we'd be in. Like I did not go to Pepperdine or I didn't go to Army Military Academy and say, man, I can't wait to get out of school. I'm going to get 2.5 degrees and then I'm going to sell real estate. And you probably never said that I wanted to get into videoing drone and homes. And now, like, I'm good, but Blake is like the pinnacle of home. Like, Blake right now is the thing when you're talking about home videos. He does for homes and drones. He does everything for the top people in the nation. So, like, this is really cool. And how did you get to that? And how'd you fall into it?
So the story that I like to tell people is kind of the first.
Is this a real story?
Yeah.
Okay.
Our first sort of big breakthrough. I guess let's start it. So I went to college in Appleton, Wisconsin at
Okay.
Lawrence University.
Yeah.
My first 2 years, I was just working like crappy or shitty campus jobs,
Okay.
bartending. And then one summer, my brother and I just we were already really into video and like video production.
Okay, so you were into
It was more like a hobby though.
Okay.
We would like make skateboard videos and snowboarding
Nice.
and like stuff when we're traveling. And then one summer, our parents are both realtors.
Now, when you were doing this, was Instagram and
Facebook was pretty big.
okay,
for
so like
video,
you were dropping your videos on Facebook.
Yeah, but
okay.
Instagram hadn't really gotten
Okay.
like, super popular yet.
All right. So
and
you
then-
weren't doing this for clicks; you were doing this because you loved it.
Yeah.
Okay.
But basically in the summer of 2016,
Okay.
summer of 2016, we bought a drone, we bought a bunch of cameras, and we basically just would sit in my mom's kitchen and start cold calling people like real estate agents, asking them to film their houses. And so that's sort of how it all started. But I guess our first big breakthrough was
And you just weren't nervous cold calling people. You were like, whatever, what the hell? There's a need for this, and we can do this. You found your
Exactly.
little niche.
Yeah, it was kind of weird, like trying to sell like a video product through a cold call, like because nobody really knows like you can't really see what it's like. Video is so different where there's like a million different styles. There's a million different ways you can do it. So, but this was like so early on that we were just basically trying to convince real estate agents that they should start using video for marketing. Because a lot of agents at that time didn't believe it. They would just do photos and like newspaper ads and stuff like that. So
yeah, so at that time we were doing, before I met you, the only like what we knew to do that was a little above and beyond was what's the 360 thing where you walk through?
Like a Matterport?
Matterport.
Yeah.
And then I would have our marketing girl like literally drag the Matterport and record.
So it's basically like a video.
It was what you did, just very bad.
It's weird
but
though,
we were trying to figure out how to do that, right? Like that,
it's
how to bend what marketing was at that time.
even though it's like bad, quote unquote, it's still probably practical, right?
And
'Cause
well,
you're
at the time it was cutting edge. It was
Yeah.
shitty video, but it was video.
Exactly. Yeah, and then I think
Do you remember the first time someone said yes?
Yeah, we do. Is this
Do you remember their name?
Yeah,
Like,
Dan. His name's Dan Cooper.
okay.
It's kind of weird.
It's like your first kiss. You remember?
A little bit, yeah. He actually never really like gave us a lot of work after that or whatever, but he invited us up to his own cottage in Muskoka, Ontario.
Okay.
It's like 3 hours north.
Okay, so when you were cold calling, you were not in the States. You were in Canada.
It was the summer, yeah.
And was your mom selling real estate in Canada?
Yep.
Okay,
and my
cool.
father
Just to give
as
us a
well.
little. Yeah, so you come from that background.
Yeah.
So, okay.
But they were. It was kind of funny because even like
Yeah, what was their thought on it? 'Cause
Like,
that,
we were
that should
just-
be your first client.
yeah, they eventually
What?
kind
Come on, mom.
I think their brokerages at the time didn't really have like the best like marketing platforms.
Okay.
They're kind of every agent in Canada is sort of like on their own, which I think is kind of similar here. But there was like no infrastructure built out for video. You basically just be posting on like social media, which really wasn't as big as it is now at the time.
Okay.
But the first big breakthrough was it was the winter, and we were on Christmas break and back in Canada. And it's just too cold and miserable to be shooting there. So we started cold calling a ton of agents down in Florida. And we were pretty broke. We didn't have like a ton of money because we were both in college, my brother and I. So we drove all the way to Florida. We had this lady, Sanata Ajam, who's actually still one of our biggest clients to this day.
I saw the video drop in her house. Is that her with the red
That's one of her
pumps?
listing, yeah.
Yeah, okay. I just watched it today.
Yeah, she literally like crushes it. Like
You
she is
have
an
to check
absolute
Blake
beast.
out on 2 seconds, just so I don't forget. The DroneHub YouTube and the DroneHub, all their Instagram and TikTok, the platforms. If you're into real estate porn, it's like it's like the top porn.
Yeah, that's the.
She was on it today, and
Yeah.
you probably posted it different, but I watched it today.
Yeah, she just listed that house as 28 million.
Yeah, and you did some new stuff, the split view with the you had two different things.
Yeah, because everything is like content now is getting super vertical, right?
Yeah.
So you have to like traditional cameras are very horizontal, so you have to try to like. We've been filming more stuff on our phone actually. We're
going to get to that. We're going to get to
Okay.
No,
Yeah, I'm getting too ahead of myself.
No, that's fine. So I just love the fact. I just want everyone to understand, like, because we've done podcasts 1, 2, and 3. Those first 3s about success, consistency, and stuff like that. I just want everyone to understand that Blake had no money, cold called people in Florida because Canada was cold. Got in his car and drove the fuck down to Florida to make money. So I don't want to hear from people that you can't like literally knock on somebody's door that's down the block. It's an excuse. It's a narrative, and I don't want to hear it. Continue.
And I was just saying the best part about that was I still had 2 years of school left, and I was able to pay like pretty much all of my schooling expenses for the rest of my thing. So starting the business within 3 months, I was able to sustain like my college, my living expenses, travel, and then we started hiring people to do editing for us at that time. So,
and how old are you at this time?
Well, I started college a little bit late, so I think I was like 21.
Okay, it's still young.
Yeah, 22.
It's still young.
So,
all right, so you went down to Florida. You kicked ass there. You started to put this following together. Started getting stuff out. You drive back up to Canada.
Yeah, drive back, and then had to go back to school in January, and then that's when I really started to double down on Chicago agents because it's only about 2.5 hours from here to my college. So yeah, I would basically come to I would always skip school on Fridays. I would come down here, film for 3 days, and then go back up.
Did you I think we reached out to you, right? Or did you reach out to us? I can't remember.
I think you guys reached out to me.
I think I reached out
maybe.
to you.
That
You
was-
did the presentation here.
Yeah, I remember. It was in
Yeah,
the
it was
same
right
room.
here in this room.
Yeah.
And that was what, like 5
5 years ago?
5 years ago.
That was when I first moved to Chicago. I think it
Yeah.
was the first summer that I lived here.
Yeah, and it was unbelievable. You're looking at this presentation and no one had done it. And you basically found, which I think all successful people do, you know, I hate the word disruptor, but you found like an inefficiency, if you could say, in the marketplace where there was nothing that was providing this. And you had the real estate background, and then you had the love for video. And then the most important thing is you can have a love for anything, but you have the drive, right? So that's the most important thing. You're like, I'm going to do this, and taking days off of school on Fridays, coming down, driving 2.5 hours, filming stuff and going back up. I mean, it's just all the recipes for success. So, but you blew up fast. All right. So let's say you're starting to do Chicago. You're starting to grab a bunch of agents.
I say we sort of had like first movers advantage because there really wasn't like, there's like one or two other companies here kind of doing a decent job. So I felt like we were just like kind of early to the punch, and we were able to kind of scoop up a lot of the top people here.
Yeah.
Which was nice. So, and like we've always been trying to like tweak our product and get better. Never stay too stagnant.
It was interesting on the drive over here. I always think about what I'm going to talk about in the podcast, and it's usually in the shower that morning of, or it's on the drive over here, or it's the day before when I'm like at night when I'm watching Miami get destroyed by the Celtics, having a beer in my bed. Yeah, I do drink in my bed. It's very comfortable.
I was going to say that's a little.
It's nice. Just a stack of beers on the nightstand, but they're not from one day. They're from multiple days, and I get yelled at by my wife and I take them down. But I was watching a video of yours, and I was just looking at old stuff, and I was watching a video from like, I want to say like 4 or 5 years ago, and like it was cutting edge then, and I think if you looked at it now, you would vomit.
Oh,
like,
for sure.
And you know, when I thought about that, and I thought about myself, and I was like, well, if I looked at my marketing material 10 years ago, or how I sold houses, or how I thought 7-8 years ago, I would slap myself too. And it's interesting that to stay where you are at the top all this time, right? Because let's be honest, in our industries, there is no barrier of entry.
It's true.
So like when there's no barrier of entry in an industry, the only way that you stay on top is constantly reevaluating yourself and constantly pushing who you are. And if you look at where your videos were then to where your videos are now, you constantly reinvent yourself. And I think for anyone that's you know, that wants to be successful or is successful, whenever you look 5 years back, you don't hate who you are, but you're like, oh my God,
Well, I think
that's what I was. That's what I did. That's how and you want that though. If you look 5 years back and you're the same person,
then you didn't grow.
You didn't grow, and everyone else has caught you. And because there's people that are biting at my feet, there's people that are biting at your feet. Like there's money to be made here, and they're going to take it from us.
Well, it's funny. We have a lot of clients that, not a lot, but there's some clients that they're still stuck in like kind of having us do the same style of stuff we've been doing like 3 or 4 years ago. And we're always pushing on our clients like new ways to do stuff. The biggest thing right now is we're trying to get our clients on camera, because I think like something that you do, and I'm sure you've noticed the benefit of it, you're marketing yourself, and it's almost more important or as important as marketing the property that you're trying to sell.
Well, yeah, you are.
'Cause you're building your
You're
brand.
right? You're the marketing person, right?
Yeah.
Like when you sell real estate or you sell a widget, you're actually not selling. You're selling yourself, right? You are the marketing base. Which, if we could take no, I don't want to get there, but I do want to get there. I want to talk about scaling what you do and how you can't do it because you are the scale, right? So that's the one thing that's difficult in our business. To grow, I think you have to have your quality of work kind of compressed to grow, and then you're talking about numbers and money versus quality.
And having the right people, right?
Yeah, and it's tough. So
one of the biggest compliments that I take or not compliment, but like, so I've gone to shoots where I've never worked with the client, but like Joey or Ty or somebody else has, and they're like, who are you? Like, you're not Joey or you're not Ty. And I'm like excited about that, because they're like, there's people that we've brought on that are excited to work with them, you know, and they're not like, they don't even realize who I am. So it's like I take that as like a good thing, because you're growing a business that people are excited to work with you.
And you're a good mentor, right? So like, not only are you running the business, you're doing the filming, but then also they can look and see this is what this person's doing, this is what this person's doing. So like,
well, honestly, I think Tyler is basically running the business.
no, I'm talking about, but the actual content creation, like going to film, and people behind you that are filming have you as an example on, you know, when you're cutting edge, when you're doing something different, they have that to look at and say, okay, this is what, like, when I meet with people, when I meet with our team and we talk about sales strategy, hey, listen, I did this or I did this. It's things that they could take, tips that they could take and run with it. Mm-hmm. Like if you sucked, everyone else would suck.
Yeah, exactly.
Like if people are filming and you have that instance where people go, who are you? We want this person or this person. That's happening because you set the stage for how you want the content to look.
Yeah, exactly.
When's the first time you got a call from somebody from $1 Million Listing? And then we're going to get into that.
Oh, so that was like a year and a half ago.
Okay.
I guess, no, close to 2 now.
And what film, like how did they
it wasn't us that reached out to them. It wasn't them that reached out to us. I was already flying out to LA to shoot for somebody else. And then I texted Josh Altman and Frederick on the flight there, and was like,
how do you have their numbers?
So I got Frederick's number from Julia, and then Josh, I was actually Instagram DM.
Okay.
So, and I was like, hey, I want to offer you guys a couple free shoots. Give me your biggest, best property. I'll come out there. I'll do it for free this week. And both of them were like, actually, both of them had like ridiculous houses that they were trying to market. Okay. So I got pretty lucky because it gave me like the absolute best portfolio piece to like do my best work. The first house we shot for Frederick,
because the better the house, the better
video. Your work. Yeah, like people are like some of these houses out there, you can almost like do a pretty average job, but the house is so insane that like it's gonna look cool, you know?
Great, yeah.
So the first video we did with Frederick, Travis Scott ended up buying that house.
Oh my god!
And then the second one for Altman was like this crazy $45 million spec house with like 4 car turntables and just like 2 rooftop all glass pools. And both videos, like it was definitely our best work to that point. They both called me after, was like super pumped, and they're like, how do we get you to do everything for us? So we set a price, and then basically like, 1 to 2 weeks a month I go out there, I shoot everything for them in that week, and then that's pretty much it. But Frederick has expanded so much like outside of LA. So yeah. We do all of his New York stuff. They have us come to Texas. We've been in Florida all the time.
For them. Florida too.
So he travels around like that as well because he's sort of like growing his brand, he needs to be present in those markets as well. And we're kind of with him along that ride.
What, like for people that, obviously there's just tons of stories we can talk about that I've heard from you too that are fantastic, and we would never name names, but just crazy stories. We'll get into those. But like when you look at yourself and how you're growing as an entrepreneur and your business, is it really interesting? And what do you take from people like Frederick and Josh that have empires who are young too? I mean, people like watch those shows and they're like, oh, this, oh, that. They don't get what you've told me, just like the machine that they are and how regimented they are and how they have it's basically like a fine-tuned car and how it runs. Yeah. Tell us about what and how that's affected you and how you run your business.
So like the 2 things I would say is like they just like are consistently working on their network. So they're investing a ton of money in making sure they're present in, the hot spots in LA, traveling to certain places, eating at certain restaurants, like looking a certain way so that they can fit in. Like they're a part of like the clientele that they're selling to.
Okay.
And then the other big thing is
that's a job in itself.
Yeah, exactly.
So do you think at people because you work with tons of huge brokers, right? Like I'm the 7th largest broker, Sophia, in Chicago, and literally our year is a good month for your other clients. Yeah. So like how are they focused? Are these top brokers just focused on networking, and then the soldiers underneath are doing all the other work?
Yep. Okay. Yeah. They're pushing their network. They're growing their network. Like you'll see a lot of them too now are working with like massive developers, and they're sort of taking on these big projects. So I think it's just all about their network, it seems like. And then the other big thing is both of them have like almost like a CEO type person that's pretty much running and scaling the actual like nuts and bolts of the business. So I think like they're sort of the face of the business, and they're kind of creating this image, and they're the brand, and they're the accounts with the huge Instagram and social media followings. But there's like, they each have like a couple people behind the scenes that are like a CEO, CFO type position.
Yeah, I mean, they definitely,
that are like running it like a company. Yeah. You know what I mean? So that's sort of the big thing is they seem to have the right people underneath them as well.
How does seeing them, like, you know, you being 4 or 5 years into the business and then bumping into these giants, and they're all, I mean, we're picking up Frederick and Josh Altman because they're on $1 Million Listing, but you deal with a bunch of these people. How has that affected how you look at your business? Is it something that's like for me listening to that and me being almost 50, I'm like, yeah, that's never going to happen for me.
Honestly, though,
if I did this in my 20s, I could see it. Like I know where I'm at, but like you being young and on this move, what effect does that have on you?
Well, it's kind of weird. At first, like the first few years when I saw it, I was kind of like, I don't know. I was really like, oh, I want to be like that. I want to do that. I want to make like a ton of money. I want to be able to kind of like create my own schedule. And now like, I think my priorities have like changed a little bit. I think like we go to these like crazy big houses, and you're just like, who would ever want to live here? Basically, it'd take you like 10, if you forgot your phone at the other end of the house, it would take you 10 minutes to go and get it. Right. So there's a lot of things you see from like,
so if you win a $500 million Powerball, you're not going to have a house on the Hollywood Hills that's $30 million overlooking the city.
No,
I'm calling bullshit on that. Charlie, bullshit.
I don't know. Yeah.
I guess it's different if you have it. It's, you don't really know.
You can own a minor hockey team. That's what you do.
Yeah. Okay. It's a very Canadian thing to do.
But so like, okay, you don't want to be a media mogul. So you're not going to be Ted Turner.
I want to just keep growing and scaling as much as I can.
How do you scale your business?
It's just about finding good people. And I think it's kind of like our business right now is, if you look at like Miami, New York, LA, Chicago, like in those markets, we work with the very small amount of like top agents there. But then the key would be to like trickle down and scale out from there. Cause there's so many agents in LA that don't even know we exist. And there's so many agents that we've never.
It almost sounds like, this may be crazy, but it almost sounds like a franchise opportunity since you have such a great brand.
Yeah, we've discussed that.
And then franchising the DroneHub brand.
Well, one thing that comes up with us too sometimes is, so in LA we work with like Josh, the Altman brothers, Frederick, Aaron Kierman, who's like, that guy's a beast. He's got a good social media following, but he's not like from the show. He's not as like present as the other guys.
Is that the fit dude that's shredded?
No, that's Anthony. He was on Frederick's team actually. Okay. But shout out Anthony. Yeah. No, but I think where was I going with that?
Scaling.
Oh, scaling. Yeah. I think like the key would be just to find like people that could fulfill that next level role. But the one issue I was going to say we have is sometimes people just assume that like the Altman brothers spend way more than what they're willing to spend. So sometimes we'll reach out to new clients and they'll just automatically assume that we're too expensive. But in reality, it's like we work with all agents, all price points. So on that, me and you have talks all the time about
basically clients that are acidic. I guess that's the wrong word, but clients that just are so not nasty, but like are a drain on what your goal is and where you want to go.
Yeah.
At what point, when you start out, you basically, someone could tell you to go eat sand and you're going to be like, okay, I need to get my footing. At what point did you see a correlation between you working with the people you want to work with and your business skyrocketing? So you got more quality people, which then makes you more efficient, more energy. Do you think there's a correlation there? Like, have you cut out people that are more bullshit and been surrounding yourself with clients that love DroneHub, love you, love the product, and then that's helped more?
Honestly, like we double down on clients that want to work with us. We double down on clients that value what we do. And honestly, like, it's weird to say this, but you can even sometimes see it in the product. Like when the videographer and the editors are excited to work with an agent who's excited to work with you, like the video just, the product just comes out so much better because everyone involved cares about the process. And I think that's like a big thing. When you have agents that are like, oh, I'm only doing this video because the seller wanted to, and they don't even want to be there. And it's just like, everything gets like half-assed a little bit. So I think it's like we try to double down on the people that value us. We're excited to work with them. And I feel like too, like agents like yourself that actually commit long-term to doing video have definitely seen huge increases in their business. They've definitely seen their platform grow, their client base grow. They have clients that are super happy that they know they're doing everything possible, like to help market their home and get the best dollar for their house. And so like I find like we've been able to trim a lot of the fat, as I would say.
Yeah.
And we're doing a lot more work with almost like a select group of agents instead of just kind of doing one-off projects for everybody.
Yeah, because if you can get somebody, the one-offs, it's just a waste of time.
Yeah, I think too, people like they come to us and they haven't really done much video and they do one or two and they're like, oh, I'm not really seeing any results. And it's like, well, you know, I have agents that have like doubled down on us for the last 2-3 years and they're crushing it, right?
People say that. People will do like 2 videos and say, I mean, what results do they want? And the results on content,
it's consistency.
Yeah,
it's way more important than even like the product itself, honestly.
And you're not going to see direct results on content. Content takes a while. It's bringing in an audience.
Yeah.
When was the first time that you fired a client or told somebody you didn't want to work with them, and how good did that make you feel? You don't have to say names.
Okay.
No names.
No, we've had a couple, and especially in Chicago, where the big thing for us is like we try to like our editors are really important to us, and when you're getting texts from your editors saying like literally we have clients just like abusing them with like re-edits and they don't like this and they want to change that and they're finally happy, then they just nix everything and restart a bunch of stuff. And it's like a bad client can like create an internal problem in your office because they don't even see the back end of everything.
Yeah.
So
it's poison.
It's poison.
It's poison.
And it's like
it slows your company down.
It gets to the point where you're just like, I don't care if this client wants to do 100 videos with us. Like, it's just not worth it.
No, because it's not worth the stress. It ruins the rest of your clients.
Yeah, it's like having like a bad teammate in a locker room, right?
And the whole team you have all stars and one asshole, and the whole team just falls apart.
It just deflates it, right?
Yeah. Kyrie.
We've had that too. Honestly, like everyone in our Chicago office has been amazing, but we've even had people that we've had to fire within the business because they're not playing the role of a team as well. So it's kind of just like you kind of need everyone on the same page and everyone to be excited to come to work and excited to work with each other. So that's our biggest thing now is like we try to focus on attitude almost over skill level.
Craziest, we're gonna get into a little bit of fun stuff now. So craziest locations in terms of like, oh my God, did I just see that? LA, it's got to be LA, but LA, New York. I'm not even gonna bring Chicago. Chicago's not a player, and we can get into that. So LA.
Chicago's a great city, but
it's a great city.
When
but
it comes to like these billionaires just throwing money at houses, it doesn't have. They're here, but they're not going to put the money here.
No, but the great thing about Chicago, and I will say this, and then we'll get on to what I was going to say.
Humble?
Well, no, it keeps you humble, but like people that think they're wealthy in Chicago are not wealthy. Like I know a lot of people. I know 3 wealthy people. I mean, I know 3 people that can move to New York, Manhattan, or LA. That's it. 3 people, and live like La Vida Loca. Live like they live in Chicago. That's it. I mean, it's like different. Like when at the end of the year when they post the top 10 most expensive houses, like Chicago's never on there, but the top 10 most expensive houses, which are all in New York and LA. Maybe Miami will get in there every once in a while.
Miami's up there now.
Yeah, it should. Especially some of those islands where like they're crazy.
Yeah, like Indian Creek is like they call it the billionaires bunker.
Yeah, I'm sure, but like last year the top 10 were all LA. Not LA.
Right. Those are the only 2 markets where you're getting like 100 million plus on a place.
So like the top 10 homes one house was from 1 to 10, right? The single price of any of those homes was greater than the top 10 homes sold in Chicago, all put together.
Wow.
So New York, Miami, LA, because you don't really work San Francisco that much, do you?
No.
LA. Craziest area in terms of like, oh my God, stuff that happens in houses and house.
LA though they're both very different. Like New York, we shot that penthouse at 432 Park Ave. It's like listed right now for 170 million.
Is that the one with the bathroom shot you got that overlooks Central Park?
That's the same building. But that wasn't the same.
Okay, because I've seen that one.
This was some like Saudi billionaire oil magnate.
Okay.
The craziest part about some of these houses though is like, so the apartment's worth 170 million, but you'll walk in and they'll have like a one of two Jeff Koons like Popeye sculpture in the living room, and you're like, that thing's like probably $80 million. It's like the furniture was all designed by Bentley. It's like just it's more of like the layout and the experience of being in some of these places, and then you're also 96 floors up in the air overlooking Central Park. So that was probably the craziest one.
That would scare me, especially after I know
that building
this is
sways too.
Yeah.
Like sometimes it sways so much that they have to shut the elevators down because it's like, they can't be operating. So it's pretty crazy.
Okay.
But the craziest one, we just filmed that the one Bel Air.
Okay.
It's 105,000 square feet.
Oh my God.
They listed it at 300, but
would this be the most expensive house now that's listed?
Well, I shot one last week that's going to list at 150 million, but the one Bel Air ended up selling at auction for 140 million, and that's because like it was the developer. You can look it up online. There's a ton of articles about him. He basically just like went way over budget on this property. It took him like 7 years, and the banks wanted their money back eventually, and so they ended up auctioning the house, which I think at $140 million, I feel like the buyer got a pretty good deal, which is kind of weird to say that. Like
it's bargains, 50% off list.
Literally more than that. So
that agent sold that, and like whoever sold that, well, it went to auction, but
the agent still got a percentage on it.
But they give you sold that, like you go to someone else's house and you want to like you're pitching them on the place, and they're like, all right, what's your last biggest house? I sold a $140 million house, but it was 60% off list.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, fuck you then.
Yeah.
That's a terrible
discount.
that number's so big it would literally destroy your whole list to sell ratio.
Literally.
And then what? So that's crazy. And then you've told me some nutty things about things you see inside house. So let's talk about that. Let's focus on LA, because LA is where all the fruits and vegetables live.
Yeah, I mean some of these houses are pretty wild.
Let's talk about sex rooms.
Okay. I knew you were gonna go there. Yeah, actually the same developer of the one, he had his own personal house that we shot. He had a red room.
I remember these stories.
He had a red room in there. Basically like this big padded like alleyway into this like basically like a sex dungeon. Whips, chains, like a bunch of stuff like that.
The red must be the color.
We couldn't put it in the video though.
Because one of the girls whose husbands left her in Real Housewives, they had a red sex room too. If you're into Real Housewives.
I'm not.
and then tell me some other things that like, so in terms of
the coolest one was actually we shot in Vegas. It was Steve Wynn's house.
Oh yes.
And this guy, he had probably I think like $260 million worth of art in the house. So we were seeing like massive Picassos, Monets. You walked in, there's like a Liechtenstein like right in the living room.
Does he swap that art with his? Because he has unbelievable art in his hotels too.
Yeah, I think that was like his personal collection.
That's personal collection. Okay.
So we did a video on the house, and then we did a video on the actual art security in the house. So they're marketing it to other art collectors, because like every piece had like this crazy camera system around it. Some of those paintings in his house are worth like $40 million. So you're building a system around it. There was like, if there's a fire in one portion of the house, like walls come down to like keep the fire in that area so that it doesn't like spread to other rooms and burn the art.
Oh my God.
So it's like the house
so when they
was built around the art.
Yeah, the house was built for the art.
Yeah. And then Steve Wynn also is like obsessed with yachts. So the house had like a lot of like polished chrome like material, and it was almost, you felt like you're almost in a yacht, which I personally didn't like that much.
Don't like
but
that.
that's what he likes.
Did you meet him?
No, I met his kids though.
Oh, that's nice.
And they're in the process of developing like the Wynn gambling app. So they're kind of taking everything they're doing but virtual.
So when you video like famous people's houses, like, and you're there with the agent, this and that, how many times does the buyer there involved with, hey, this is this, or is it pretty much a handler that handles that? Like, do they have does Steve Wynn have I'm just using it as an example. Does he have an assistant that's with you, or the stars there, or the celebs
Honestly,
there?
like most of those agents like are so like tight with their clients, like Altman, Frederick, and Aaron Kierman, that like I think they just trust that they're gonna do their job to the best, and they're not like overly involved.
Okay.
So I noticed that like a really good agent seems to have a ton of respect from their clients and
control.
They just control every process.
Yeah. Well, that's why they hire them, right?
Yeah.
Like I always say, like when someone's interviewing me versus a Redfin, and they look at my commission rate, and I'm like, well, you're not just hiring someone to throw it on the MLS. I'm like, I am literally full service. Like you don't have to do anything.
Well, it's kind of weird too. Like in LA, like a lot of the cool celebrity homes that we've shot are kind of like, they're really nice houses, but they're kind of like smaller scale for some of the stuff these agents are doing. Like the real big houses are owned by like business magnates.
Yeah,
and,
yeah.
Like making like, owning huge corporations, or like
Well,
CEOs of like
the real
hedge
money.
funds. Yeah.
These are the people paying these celebrities.
So the celebrity homes are like cool, but they're like usually like they're not. The celebrities seem to have more of a handler, but then like the business magnates seem to just like, you just take care of it. I don't want to
deal with anything.
So usually they have houses all over the place, and that's just like one asset to them.
Who's the coolest celeb that you've dealt with? I won't say worst because we don't want to say that, but who's the coolest?
One of the coolest was, this was 2 years ago. I shot James Cameron's house.
Okay.
And he had
oh my God, how in the fuck was inside his house? I heard he keeps all that shit in his house.
He has a room. I spent probably 30 minutes just looking through.
Yeah, it
like
was
not
on a show.
like not
that
looking
was on a
through,
show.
but he has a big like, basically all of his like cool stuff from the movie, like the Titanic. He had like all the models when they were designing like everything for the Titanic. Avatar, he had the clay sculptures of like how they designed the avatars. Like it was basically like a movie memorabilia like Hall of Fame. He had everything in there. So I was just like, I had to shoot the room, but I would just look around at everything.
You know where I think they brought that up?
He had like all of his awards.
He was on Entourage, which I just ripped through the whole show again because I love it. And he's on there because he was going to do Aquaman, I think, Aquaman 2, and he pulled out. That's a very obscure fact because I just watched Entourage. But they talked about his house. I think Vinny did or something.
That's like his compound in Malibu.
And where is he in Malibu? Is he on the beach?
No, he's like kind of tucked in right up against the mountains. It's like very private. It's like a little horse community.
Yeah, he's by Mel Gibson.
Yeah.
Sierra Retreat.
Sierra Retreat.
Yeah. I lived in Mel Gibson's coach house.
Oh yeah, you were in Pepperdine.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah, he's tucked right in there.
You have no idea that people live back there. You're like,
no,
what?
And they're like the houses back there.
Oh,
like
it's crazy.
$40 million.
Yeah. My buddy was renting Mel Gibson's coach house.
I think it's the privacy. Like when you're on the beach, you don't really have any privacy.
Yeah.
People are walking up and down. And
I didn't know he lived there. You would never know that Sarah. It's like this. You go through basically the shopping district, if you can call it that. And you keep driving, and all of a sudden you're in Sierra Retreat, and you're like, what?
I know he moved to like Wyoming or Utah or something. Which seems to be like what a lot of people are doing.
Yeah, that or like Billings, Montana, and stuff like that. Yeah, that's the in place right now.
It's like their midlife crisis.
Yeah,
they're like, I need to go be a cowboy for like 5 years, and then come back to LA.
And then the without naming names, or you can if you want to, the biggest jerk. You don't have to name names and what they did. You don't have to name names. If you're not going to work with them again, you can. But if it's one of your friend's clients, then don't. So, and what do they do? What do they do?
I don't know. There's just like some people are just dicks, like just like naturally assholes, just rude. And
they just think they're
never really had any like. I usually am able to kill people with kindness, so I'm never really in a situation that's like too bad. Like I haven't really had too many situations where I'm like, that guy is like such an asshole.
When I lived in Malibu, the biggest dick I ever met was Jeremy Piven.
Oh, really?
Yeah, terrible.
Okay. I've
Terrible
never met
person.
him, but
Terrible.
we shot.
He is literally just like his character on Entourage. Like, I don't
Really?
think he's not even acting.
Wow. He's just like being himself.
Yeah, I got great stories about celebs in Malibu.
Especially like Malibu was already huge, but then once COVID hit, like everyone was trying to.
Everyone, yeah. I mean,
Like,
I was
the
in Malibu
prices
in
doubled,
91,
tripled
92. Like, I was in Malibu in the early 90s. Like, there was no, like, paparazzi or anything, so everyone just came around.
Was Nobu there yet?
No. No, Nobu was not. It was, like, the tea
way
leaf
after.
back then.
Okay.
Whatever their coffee thing is.
Should have bought a place back then.
Oh, man.
It's probably worth a fortune now.
Our fraternity house was 21633 PCH. I will never forget
That's
that address.
insane.
Because we used to, that, like, literally, we lived there for years. Right at,
You're spoiled. Pepperdine is like, it's more of like a country club in the nicest part of the world, the nicest part of the USA.
it's
basically.
unreal.
Like
It's
you
not-
drive up that hill and every building overlooks the
I know the name of the
ocean.
movie was La, but it is La La Land. I mean, it's not normal. The guy who was the lead actor from was Ed. What's the guy that's from Married with Children? His name's Ed something. Anyone know Married Children? Now I'm dating myself. Anyways, he was our neighbor. So cool. Across the street from us was Janet Jackson. I mean, it was like everyone, but there was no paparazzi, so everyone just walked around. Like, we'd go to the movie theater at the Malibu movie theater, which was like on the way to Cameron's house. So you would go there. We didn't even have a Starbucks, but we'd go there, and in the movie
Oh,
theater
that's where there's like a new plaza there.
Yeah, so
it's like all like
I'm sure it's changed. I haven't been
Yeah.
there in years. But you would walk in there and just be tons of stars. And I worked at the only place you could basically get breakfast at. So, like, I worked the counter there. It was every single star in there.
it's pretty cool.
It was great. I'll tell you one story about Malibu. When I was working, it's called Coogie's. It's the breakfast place there that everyone goes to. And it's like a Sunday morning. There's chitter chatter, but it's mellow because no one's yelling in there. And literally the largest fart you had ever heard in your life was ripped. And Flea from the Red Hot Chili Peppers gets up and yells out to every patron in the restaurant, "Excuse me and I'm sorry," and sits back down.
Really? What? Yes. I thought he was gonna yell at somebody.
No, Flea. And it was perfect.
Wow.
Perfect. And then one time the restaurant was completely packed with a ton of stars and Muhammad Ali walked in. And I'm going to tell you right now, you're famous when famous people like stop in their tracks. And Muhammad Ali, he just started getting like bad Parkinson's, but it wasn't that bad. So he wasn't he wasn't that shaky, but he walked around the restaurant like it was like a viewing party and shook everybody's hand.
Wow.
I mean, the whole restaurant stopped. The cook stopped. Nothing for like 20 minutes. Nothing happened in the restaurants. The cooks came out. Everyone just was wanting to meet. I mean, that is like, I've never met Michael Jordan. I've seen him like at bars, but I like Muhammad Ali is like next level when it comes.
Yeah,
And
he
like,
probably transcends a lot of.
I mean, it was like Jesus floating in there.
Yeah.
It was like crazy.
And he's super well respected too, right?
Oh
So
yeah,
it's
I mean,
like-
the guy went to jail for his rights, and
Yeah.
during the prime of his career. All right, cool. So listen, I know we're probably gonna break this into 2 episodes because no one has the attention span of 40 minutes,
Yeah.
or whatever the hell we've been doing this for. But I want to thank Blake, and just an unbelievable story. Own business. I didn't know that you drove down to Florida during college and is at the apex, which you will continue to be at video. And so if someone wants to get a hold of you, why don't you?
Yeah, we're just DroneHub Media, Instagram, YouTube, Facebook. Blake or Tyler at DroneHubMedia.com for email. We're pretty easy to get a hold of. It's not like we're trying to be all over the internet and trying to be present wherever we can. So. And
this is going to be our 10-second little thing on TikTok. True or false? Does everyone in Canada love Strange Brew?
It's probably pretty false.
Oh my God! When I think of Canada, I think of Strange Brew.
I feel like, well, at least that was probably just before my generation.
Oh,
so
have you seen? You tell me you've seen it.
I've seen it.
Oh
but
God, that movie's the best. And one last thing, one like really cool phrase that no one knows, and you may not know it, that people say in Canada that they don't say in the US. And it can't be hey hoser.
Oh, well, maybe just the way that we pronounce stuff.
No, it's got to be a word though, like slang.
Oh,
Is there a slang Canadian word that's basically Canadian used?
I don't know.
Oh.
Give me something else.
That was my one thing.
Oh.
Best movie you've seen in the last year?
Fuck, I don't watch any movies.
Not even Marvel movies? Where
no,
things blow
I
up?
I watch YouTube videos and
A YouTuber you watch that you love?
I watch Good. So it's these basically average golfers that just play against each other.
Okay.
And it's pretty addicting if you like golf.
I don't, but
Okay.
Good. All right. Well, thank you so much for your time, Charlie Murphy. Thank you so much for holding that camera for God knows how long. And we will see you guys. This will drop in 2 weeks. The new episode's dropping today. And thank you so much for listening to the Jason Theory.
Thanks, Jason.